Hello and welcome to Skyline, ladies and gentlemen. Today, if you are in the US, your biggest risk may not be losing your job. It may be filling out one form incorrectly, forgetting to report one bank account, missing one immigration deadline, or assuming that what is legal in India, it is automatically legal in America. One mistake, one misunderstanding, and years of savings, it could disappear. So today on Skyline, we have broken down 11 major updates that every Indian living abroad should know. Whether you are in the US, Canada, the UK, or planning to move overseas, this episode, it could save you money, protect your visa, and maybe even save your future. So let's start with it. First of all, imagine you worked in America for 5 years, you saved your salary, you also kept some money in India, maybe in an NRE account, a fixed deposit, a demat account, or maybe even a public provident fund account opened years ago. You think that this money is in India. Why would the American government care about it? Well, that's exactly where thousands of NRIs they make a costly mistake. The US government is now paying much closer attention to financial accounts held by American tax residents, including many Indians who are working on H-1B visa, L-1 visa, and green cards. The rules they are becoming stricter, and ignorance it can no longer consider a good excuse. Now let's understand this in a very simple way. Many people believe that rule applies only if one bank account has more than $10,000. That's not true, but the government looks at the combined value of all your foreign financial accounts. Let's say that you have 3 accounts in India. One has $3,000, another one has $4,000, and a third one has $4,000. Now, none of them individually crosses the limit, right? But together, they add up to $11,000. That means reporting requirements may apply here. Now, here's the dangerous part. Many Indians think that my NRE account, it is not taxed in India, so I don't need to tell this to IRS, right? But America follows a different system here. If you are a US tax resident, the government expects you to report certain foreign financial accounts. Even the income is treated differently in India. Well, authorities have also strengthened information sharing with financial institutions. That means international financial reporting has become much more connected than ever before. And you know what the good news is? If somebody made an honest mistake in earlier years, there are compliance programs that may help eligible taxpayers correct past filing before facing a formal audit here. The lesson is simple here. If you live in America and still have a financial asset in India, don't assume nobody knows. Cross-border banking has entered a completely new era, and understanding the rules today, it could save you from major problems tomorrow. But yes, taxes aren't the only hidden danger waiting for Indians in America. Sometimes the biggest mistake, it happens on the very day you lose your job. Well, imagine walking into your office on Monday morning, your manager calls you into a meeting. The conversation lasts only about 10 minutes. And then, we are sorry, your position has been eliminated. But then the HR gives you some good news. Don't worry, you will continue receiving salary for the next 2 months. Well, you breathe a sign of relief. You think that I still have 2 months before I need to worry about my visa. Unfortunately, that's where many H-1B professionals make a serious mistake. Receiving severance pay and remaining in valid immigration status, that are not always the same thing. Immigration rules generally look at when your employment actually ends, not simply when your severance payment stops. Wait, let's make it easy for you. Imagine your last working day is March 15th. Your company continues paying you until May because of a severance package. Many people believe that their 60-day grace period starts after the final paycheck. But that's not how it works. The countdown is linked to the end of your employment relationship, not the severance payments alone. Now imagine waiting until the last salary arrives before beginning your job research. But then, valuable time, it may already be gone. And you know what? That's why immigration experts, they always say that don't wait. The moment you receive a termination notice, understand your exact last days of employment in writing, and start the planning immediately. There is another important detail here. Some companies place employees on paid administrative leave under specific legal arrangement before their official termination date. In those situations, the timeline can be different. And that's why reading your separate letter carefully, it is extremely important for you. And there is also legal option that is available during the grace period, depending on your circumstances, such as changing employers through eligible H-1B transfer route, or in some cases, applying for another immigration status to remain lawfully in the US while continuing your job search. Well, here the biggest mistake, it is not getting laid off. The biggest mistake is understanding the rules after the layoff. Ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest here. Sometimes one missed deadline can undo years of your hard work. Now let's move from immigration to another problem that quietly affects thousands of successful Indian professionals every year: paying tax twice on the same income. That's right. Well, the question, are you paying tax twice without even realizing it? Can you imagine? You are a software engineer in California, you own an apartment in Bengaluru. You receive rent every single month. You also earn interest from an NRO account, and maybe you invest in Indian shares years ago. Now comes the biggest question. Should you pay the tax in India or America, or both? Here, many NRIs, they don't really know the answer here, and because of that confusion, they either pay much more tax than it is necessary or unknowingly make mistakes that later create legal problems for them. Wait, here's the good news. India and the United States have double taxation avoidance agreement, often called the DTAA. Its purpose is to reduce the chances of a same income being taxed twice. Although the exact benefit that depends on the type of income and individual circumstances. But here's where many people get confused. Just because an NRE account enjoys certain tax benefits in India, it does not automatically mean that income receives the same treatment in the United States. US tax residents, they generally have to report worldwide income under the US tax rule. Now imagine paying tax in India on rental income, and later when filing your US return, you may be eligible but be able to claim a foreign tax credit so that you're not taxed twice on the same income. But these claims require proper documentation and accurate filing. And there's another point many professionals miss. If you plan to return to India in near future while holding the US investments like RSUs, stock options, or retirement accounts, the tax rule can change again after your residential status changes. Planning in advance, it becomes extremely important for you. Money is hard to earn, so don't lose it simply because you don't understand cross-border tax rules. A little planning today, it can save lakhs of rupees tomorrow. Now in this segment, imagine working abroad for 15 or 20 years. You buy a house in India, you invest in mutual funds. Maybe you inherit your parents' property. One day you decide it's time to sell those assets and transfer the money to your bank account in America, Canada, or maybe UK. Simple process, right? No, not anymore. Thousands of NRIs are discovering that bringing their own money out of India has become much more complicated than they expected. The biggest shock comes after selling a property or an investment. People think that I've already paid tax in India. Now I can easily transfer my money overseas. But that's not always what happens. Here's why. India calculates capital gains in Indian rupees. But when NRIs finally convert those rupees into US dollar on a foreign exchange currency, well, the exchange rate, it may be changed significantly. Now that means your profit may look large on the paper in India, but after taxes and currency conversion, the amount you actually receive abroad, it can be much smaller. Then comes another challenge here. Many NRIs believe that they can simply transfer unlimited money from their Indian bank account. But international remittances, it follows specific FEMA rule and require proper documentation. In many cases, banks ask for documents like Form 15CA and Form 15CB before allowing large outward remittances. Now, these forms help establish that the applicable taxes have been taken care of before the money leaves India. Imagine this: you have sold your family property. The money is sitting in your bank account. You already have plans for that money in America. Maybe you are buying a house. Maybe you are paying university fees for your child. But because one document is missing or one tax calculation it is still pending, your money cannot be moved. Weeks become months and your financial planning comes to a complete stop. That's why financial experts always advise NRIs to plan these transactions before selling an asset, not after. Because earning money it is difficult. Keeping that money it is even harder. Now, managing your money it is one thing, but keeping your job it has become an even bigger challenge because today technology companies are changing faster than ever before. Ladies and gentlemen, the world knows AI is changing the tech industry and Indian professionals are feeling the impact. A few years ago, whenever a tech company announces layoffs, most people assume that business was slowing down. But today, something very different is happening. Many of the world's biggest technology companies are still making billions of dollars. Their revenue it remains strong, their profits that remains wealthy, yet thousands of employees they are still losing their jobs. You know what's happening here? The answer is just two letters: A and I. Artificial intelligence is changing the way tech companies operate. Instead of hiring larger teams, many companies are investing heavily in AI tools, automation, and advanced computing infrastructure. As a result, several firms are reconstructing their workforce and changing the kinds of skills they actually need. Look around Silicon Valley. Companies are no longer asking only one question: how many employees do we need? Today, they are asking how much work can AI do? That's changing everything. Many routine software roles, testing jobs, support functions, and middle management positions are being reconstructed as companies focus more on AI related work. And at the very same time, demand companies to grow for professionals with expertise in AI, cloud computing, cybersecurity, data engineering, and advanced systems design. So, think about Indian professionals who are working in America. Many moved there believing that technology was one of the safest careers for them. Today, that uncertainty it is disappearing. Companies are changing faster than employees can adapt. And here's another trend: not every company announces large public layoffs anymore. Some organizations reduce hiring. Some quietly eliminate positions. Some reorganize the departments. Others use performance review and reconstructing to reduce staff without making major headlines. That means professionals cannot afford to become uncomfortable. The safest employee today is one who keeps on learning. The tech industry, it is not disappearing, not at all. It is transforming. And professionals who learn new skills every day, they will see the good tomorrow. And yes, while many Indians are worried about keeping their jobs in America, others are asking a different question: should I move to Canada instead? Well, let's find that out. For years, Canada has been one of the biggest dreams for skilled Indians. Permanent residency, a better work life balance, healthcare, a clear immigration path. But you know what? Over the past few years, many people they started believing that getting Canadian PR it has become almost impossible. The competition has increased, the CRS score it has climbed high, and thousands of applicants they begin losing hopes. But now there is a new opportunity that many skilled professionals they are watching very closely. Canada continues to use category-based express entry draws for occupations facing labor shortages, including several STEM fields. Well, these targeted draws can have different score requirement from general express entry round, offering opportunity for eligible candidates in specific occupation. Now let's just understand why this matters here. Imagine two software engineers, both have similar education, both have good English, both have several years of work experience. But one works in the field that Canada urgently needs. That candidate may benefit from occupation-focused selection round if they meet the eligibility requirement. However, there is another update here. Ladies and gentlemen, applicants must carefully check the latest work experience requirements and ensure that occupation matches the correct National Occupational Classification Code before applying. Choosing the wrong category or maybe failing to meet the required experience, it can lead to rejection. Language score also continue to play a major role here. A stronger IELTS or CEL-PIP score, it can significantly improve a candidate's profile. While many provinces are also running their own nomination program to attract skilled technology professionals, creating additional pathway for eligible applicants here. So, if you have been waiting for years, don't simply assume that the opportunity has disappeared. Immigration policy continue to evolve. Sometimes one policy change, it can completely change your chances. The key is staying informed and applying at the right time. Now from Canada, let's move to the UK. In fact, for the UK also, for years, this nation has been one of the biggest dreams for Indian professionals. Better salaries, international experience, permanent settlement, and a secured future here. Every year, thousands of Indians they move to cities like London, Manchester, etc., hoping to build a successful career there. For many families, getting a skilled worker visa, it feels like achieving a lifelong dream. But today, that dream is becoming more challenging. That's right. UK government has tightened its skilled worker visa rule, specifically when it comes to salary requirement. Earlier, getting a job offer from a licensed employer, it was often seen as the biggest hurdle. Today, that's only the beginning. In many cases, your salary must also meet the required threshold for your occupation. If your salary falls below the required level, your visa extension, switching employer, or even your path towards permanent settlement, it could become much more difficult. Now, imagine this. You have spent 4 to 5 years working in London. You have rented a home. Your children have settled in school. Your family has built a new life in Britain. You have already planned for indefinite leave to remain, believing the difficult part is over for you. But just before your visa renewal, you discover that your salary may no longer match the latest immigration requirement. Suddenly, everything changes for you. Years of planning, well, they all are thrown into uncertainty. Many professionals don't realize that UK immigration authorities may continue checking whether their salary remains above the required level throughout their visa journey. It's not just about the salary that is mentioned in your first job offer. Future renewals, job changes, and settlement applications may also depend on whether your employer continues paying you according to the latest immigration rules. And yes, there is another mistake many people make. Some employees, they believe that bonuses, incentives, and overtime payments will automatically help them qualify. But immigration rules often focus on your base salary and the official requirements linked to your occupation. And that's why experts advise professionals to regularly speak with their HR department and review their employment contract well before applying for a visa extension or permanent settlement. Here the message is very simple. Getting a skilled worker visa, it is only the first chapter of your journey. Keeping that visa, renewing it on time, and finally securing permanent residency, that requires constant planning. Immigration policies change, salary threshold change, and those who stay informed today, they must avoid major problems tomorrow. But yes, immigration rules aren't the only hidden challenge that is waiting for Indians abroad. Sometimes, even moving from one American state to another, it can create a completely unexpected tax problem. Can you imagine you have finally decided to leave California, the US? The cost of living has become too high. State taxes are eating into your salary. So you move to Texas, where there is no state income tax. You update your office address, rent a new apartment, pack your bags, and begin a new life. You think that finally I'll save thousands of dollars every single year. But then a few months later, you receive a notice from California asking you to pay tax. That's right, a state tax. Your first reaction is obvious, right? But I don't even live there anymore. Wait, how is it possible? Let me explain you that. Many people believe that changing states, it is as simple as changing their postal address. Unfortunately, tax residency in the United States, it is much more complicated. Some states don't just look at where you're living today. They also examine whether you have genuinely ended your financial, residential, and personal ties with your previous state. Now, let me help you understand in a very simple way. Suppose you move from San Francisco to Austin, but you still keep your California's driver's license. You continue using your old California address for banking, your family still lives there, you frequently return for work, or you still own and use your California home. In certain situations, tax authorities may continue examining whether California still considers you as a tax resident or not. Now think about an Indian software engineer earning a high salary in the US. Along with that salary, they may also own property in India, receive rental income, earn company stock benefit, and maintain foreign bank accounts. If state tax residency isn't handled properly, managing those finances, it can become far more complicated than ever before. And that's why here experts say that moving physically it is not enough. You should also update your financial records, your driver's license, your vehicle registration, your banking information, your tax document, and your employer's payroll record. Every document should clearly show that your move it is permanent. Keep detailed records of where you actually live and work. It can also become very important if questions are arising later on. Saving taxes is a smart financial decision. I do agree, but only if everything is done correctly. Otherwise, what looks like a perfect move, it could eventually become an expensive legal and financial headache for you. But yes, state taxes aren't the only hidden surprise that is waiting for NRIs. There is another, little known as IRS rule, that many Indians discover only after receiving a notice, and by then, fixing the mistake that becomes harder. Let's say you moved to America nearly 10 years ago, but you never stopped investing in India. Every month, money automatically goes into your SIPs. You own Indian mutual fund, you have a demat account. Maybe your parents continue managing some of your investments on your behalf. Everything, it seems completely normal to you. And then you ask yourself just one simple thing. These are Indian investment. Why would the US government be interested in these, right? Now, let me help you with that. That's exactly where many NRIs, they make a costly mistake. The US tax system has special reporting rule for certain foreign investment products, including many foreign mutual funds. These reporting requirements are often much more complicated than ordinary bank accounts reporting. And many investors, they are completely unaware of them until and unless they speak with a cross-border tax expert. Here's the problem. Thousands of Indians, they continue investing through automatic SIPs exactly as they did before moving to America. They never stop to ask whether the rule have changed after becoming a US tax resident. Unfortunately, the answer is yes. Once you become a US tax resident, certain foreign investments may require additional reporting under American tax rules. Another common misunderstanding is that filing one foreign asset form, it means that you have completed every reporting requirement. That's not always true. Reporting foreign bank account and reporting certain foreign investment products, they are separate legal requirements. Filling one form, it does not automatically satisfy the other. Now imagine discovering this after 5 to 6 years. Suddenly, you are searching for old account statements, looking for investment records, calculating historical value. In fact, correcting previous tax return and trying to understand the rules that have existed for years, but were never explained to you very properly. You know what? This is why experts advise every NRI to review their investment portfolio after moving abroad. Well, an investment that is perfectly normal in India, well, they may be treated very differently under the US tax law. Understanding those differences early, it can save you some time, some money, and unnecessary stress later on. Investing wisely is not just about earning higher return. It is also about staying compliant with the law. Because sometimes the biggest financial mistake is not making a bad investment. It is failing to understand the rules that apply to you. Now I have a question for you. Are high interest rate on FCNR deposit really worth it? Think again. Imagine this. You have been working in the United States for years now. Every month you save a part of your salary in dollars. One day you receive a call from your bank in India. The executive says that, sir, we are offering over or even 7% interest on FCNR deposit. This is one of the best opportunities for NRIs. It sounds like an amazing deal to you. After all, who wouldn't want higher returns on their hard-earned money, right? But before you transfer thousands of dollars, here is something that you definitely needs to understand. Over the past few years, many Indian banks have started offering attractive interest rates on FCNR deposit after the Reserve Bank of India introduced measures to encourage more foreign currency deposit into the country. On paper, the return it looks very attractive to you, but as always, the real story that is hidden in the fine print. Let's understand why. So, a few years ago, the difference between interest rate in America and India, that was huge. Keeping your dollar in India often gave you significantly better return. But today, the US interest rate, they are also much higher than before. That means the extra benefit offered by FCNR deposit isn't as large as many people think. Once you compare both options very carefully, the difference that becomes much smaller. And then comes another important point: flexibility. Many of these deposits require you to lock your money for several years. What if an emergency happens? What if you suddenly need money to buy a home, pay university fees, or a deal with a family emergency? Withdrawing your money early, it can reduce your return or even attract penalties. And here's the biggest surprise for Indians living in the US. Many people assume that because the interest earned on FCNR deposit, it is tax-free in India, it is tax-free everywhere. But that's not necessarily true. If you are a US tax resident, America generally taxes you on worldwide income. That means the interest earned on these deposits may still needs to be reported under the US tax rule. After paying US taxes, your actual return, it could be much lower than what the advertisement promised. Wait, there is another growing trend that worries the financial experts. Some wealth advisors, they are encouraging NRIs to borrow money and invest using leverage strategies to earn even bigger return. On paper, it looks exciting to you, but if interest rates change or markets move unexpectedly, those strategies could become extremely risky and it may lead to significant losses. Lesson is simple here, ladies and gentlemen. Never invest just because a headline says 7% return. Always ask one more question: how much money will I actually keep after taxes, fees, and penalties? Because in finance, the biggest advertised return, it is not the biggest investment. Well, for many Indians, the journey does not end abroad. After years of working in America, Canada, or Europe, many dream of coming back home. But returning to India isn't just about booking a flight. It can completely change the way your money is taxed. Every year, thousands of highly skilled Indians decide to return home. Some have spent 10 years in Silicon Valley. Some built successful careers in Toronto, others worked in London, Dubai, Singapore, or Sydney. After years abroad, they finally decide it's time to come home. But here's something many people don't realize. Coming back to India does not always change your address. It changes your tax life. Many returning NRIs assume that they can simply transfer all these foreign investments, continue holding overseas bank accounts, keep their company share, and everything will remain exactly the same. Unfortunately, that's not always true. Well, Indian tax law, it provides a special transition period for many returning NRIs. Often they are referred to as RNOR period, during which certain foreign income may continue to receive favorable tax treatment if the eligibility conditions are met. But this window does not last forever. Once that period ends and a person becomes a full Indian tax resident under the applicable rule, different tax obligations may apply to worldwide income. Now imagine you have spent 15 years building wealth in America. You own company shares, you have retirement savings, foreign bank account, investments, everything is perfectly legal. But after returning to India, you don't review the new tax rule. You continue managing your finances exactly as before. Years later, you realize some foreign assets require additional reporting, while some foreign income may have become taxable under your new residential status. And that is why financial planning before returning to India is just as important as planning before moving abroad. And lastly, another important issue involves company shares and stock options. Many professionals working in multinational companies receive RSUs or stock based compensation. Now, if these shares vest while you are living in India, the tax treatment may be different from what it was when you lived overseas. Understanding the timing of these events that becomes extremely important for you. Experts also advise returning NRIs to carefully review their foreign bank accounts, investment portfolios, and tax reporting obligation before changing their residential status. Well, a little planning before relocating, it can prevent major financial problem later on. Coming back to India, it is an emotional decision, I agree. It's about family, parents, friends, culture, home. But it should always be well planned financial decision. Because after spending years building your wealth, the last thing you want is to lose part of it simply because you don't understand how the rules changed. And with that, we have reached the end of today's Skyline. Ladies and gentlemen, the world is changing quickly. Immigration laws are changing, tax laws are changing, tech is changing, and the people who stay informed, they are the people who stays protected. I'm Dhruti Yatri, this is Skyline. Stay informed, stay cautious, and I will see you in the next episode.